Okay, so how to build confidence. You guys have requested this video. We're doing a little something different today. I just spent the last few hours making this entire slideshow presentation, so hopefully I can explain it to you guys. And by the end of this video, what I'm hoping is you guys understand what confidence is, what to do about it, how to avoid not being confident, and everyone will just be a happy, happy camper. So today we're going to talk about 4 things. What is it? Why people struggle, what to avoid, steps to take. All right, I'm going to cover all of these topics. First, we need to understand that confidence can be a lot of different things. So what we're going to focus on is what it's not. Confidence is not your ego. It is not dependent on external validation. It's not something you're just born with, and it's definitely not something that's delusional. So you might be asking, why should we focus on something that isn't? Why are we focusing on what something is not? Shouldn't we just figure out what it is? I mean, let's just cut the BS, get right to it, right? I'll tell you why we do this. So Alex Hormozy, someone that I really enjoy watching, he introduced me to Charlie Munger's inversion thinking, which is literally the solution to everything. Charlie Munger goes, be consistently not stupid instead of trying to be very intelligent. Instead of finding, and you'll see in this image, instead of trying to find out what makes you successful, just find out what causes you to fail and do not do those things. And in doing so, success will be a byproduct of that. It's amazing. I love it. So what it is when we focus on what to do, we have endless possibilities and then we get stuck. As opposed to when we look at what to avoid, we define the solution. Because what to do, you create an endless amount of lists and things that you have to do. When you focus on what to avoid, then you define the solution. And it narrows down the list so you can take actionable steps instead of being bombarded by hundreds and hundreds of options. So here's a great example, and I use this example all the time. How do I get in shape? Here are the list of to-dos. We can go on a carnivore diet. We can go on a keto diet. We can fast. We can weight train, track macros, hike, run, yoga, power lift, count calories, stop eating Pilates, only eat fruit, martial arts. We can walk. We can box. We can drink water only. We can do freaking everything. What happens? That is what happens. We get bombarded by a lot of things, and we're just stressed out. We have no idea what to do. We're screwed. we might as well not do anything at this point. And the result is, well, you'll say something like this. There are just so many ways to do it. They all seem to work. Will I be missing out if I don't do all of them? Which should I choose? What if I make the wrong move? Am I ugly? Damn. What did my ex think about me? I'm irritated. I give up. Maybe tomorrow. And what results in is this constant cycle where you want to change. You try to figure out how to change. You realize that there are a lot of ways to change. And then you can't choose. And then you don't act. And you stay the same until you want to change again. And this cycle repeats itself. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on what to avoid. So how do I get in shape? We just have to shift it and say, how do I avoid getting in worse shape? I mean, look at the list. To avoid getting in worse shape, you just avoid eating like garbage, avoid expecting fast results, avoid not moving your body, and avoid being inconsistent. And if you do those 4 things, the result will be you get in shape. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call inversion thinking by Charlie Munger. And what you have is a happy, happy camper, because now you can take actionable steps. You're like, okay, if I need to avoid, go back. If I need to avoid eating like garbage, perfect. What's the opposite of garbage? Probably whole foods. If I need to avoid not moving my body, maybe I should just move my body. I don't care how I'm going to move it. I'm just going to move it. If I need to avoid expecting fast results, then okay, I need to expect that this is going to take a long time. And if I need to avoid being inconsistent, I simply have to keep at it. And we get happy. Because these are simple things that we can do. Now we're smiling, we're giggling. Okay? And the result, you realize that it's easier than you thought. And that is why I love inversion thinking. And it creates this habit of wanting to change. Then you figure out what to avoid. You realize it's simple. You avoid those things. You take action and change until you want to change again. And you repeat the cycle. And you're this never ending, changing growth manifesto. And you're growing and you're transcending and you're just becoming the best version of yourself. So now, back to confidence. When you focus on what confidence is, it can be a lot of things. It could be having a nice car, being charming, making sure that no one hates you. If confidence may be someone that approaches people, having an assertive tone, not getting rejected, having money, having a nice body, being funny, having nice teeth, a nice house, not taking no for an answer, being liked, being the best, being a great communicator, or looking attractive. And again, we're back. What the heck? That's everything I have to do to be confident. That's a lot. I'm bombarded. What do I do? So here's my definition of confidence. Confident is a word to describe someone who can back up their claims with so much evidence that it's almost impossible to deny. I will pay homage to Alex Hormozy because he created a definition of confidence that I really like, which is an undeniable stack of evidence to back up who you say you are. And it's beautiful, right? Again, confidence is not your ego. It's not dependent on external validation. Confidence is not something you're just born with. Confidence is not something that's delusional. So we're going to start with your ego. In simple terms, the way you view yourself. Okay? This is a great example of the problem with bodybuilders. You acknowledge that at one point in your life you were skinny. And so you view yourself as skinny, so you get in the gym, you want to put on muscle, you want to gain weight, but it seems like no matter how big you get, you will always see the previous version of yourself. Well, this is what we call a deflated ego. You view yourself as someone that was worse, even though you've grown. Your ego isn't inflated. You have no self-esteem. You keep remembering who you once were, and you're never big enough. So why isn't confidence your ego? Well, I mean, having an ego is relatively healthy. It's the thing that gives you some self-esteem. Too little of that, and you're just this insecure, walking sad person. But if you can't back up how you view yourself, then you're just delusional. Too much ego, and you're this big-headed, narcissistic fool. Remember that confidence isn't your ego because too many people fall into this delusional state where they think they're better than they actually are. Now, again, if you can back it up to a degree, it's confident. And it might not be an overly inflated ego, but where's the line you draw, right? Because if we want to associate with our ego, how can we make sure that we don't get arrogant or so full of ourselves, but we're just simply backing up and providing evidence to our claim that we're confident? Where's the line? Here's the line. If you're good, just understand you can get better. If you're not good, understand you can get better. If you're good, understand someone else is better. If you're not good, understand someone else is better. This keeps you in check. This keeps you humble. And this keeps you on the path where you can associate with your ego, accept that you're growing without thinking you're better than you actually are. So now here's a quick story. This is me at 18. At 18, I joined the military. And I really joined the military because I had no direction. I just needed to figure something out. Eventually, I forced them to kick me out. And it's because I guess I just dreamt of more for my life. Me and my dreams, it dreamt more. All right. And then here's me at 22. Got a job at a gym. And I've told this story so many times, but I really want to tell it again because it's important. It was the first steps that I took to become confident in myself, in my abilities. There you go. You see me with the sunglasses on, crunch shirt, all dressed up, selling memberships. I got kicked out. All right. And I was delivering food for a while. And I eventually started scrubbing toilets at the gym. It wasn't fun. I remember driving, I was doing DoorDash. I was driving for 8 to 10 hours a day. And I was making less than minimum wage because I'd make like 150. Next thing you know, I had to spend like $70 on gas. And so 10-hour shift, I would make like $80. That was tough, right? And so, I was scrubbing toilets at the gym after I just stopped door dashing because I'm like, dude, a minimum wage job will pay better than DoorDash. And I guess I just had a knack for sales because I started selling gym memberships. During that time, I had a friend. We're going to call my friend Bob so that I don't disclose too much information. Bob was a business owner. And once I was fed up with the gym, I called Bob. And I said, hey, I learned a lot selling here at Crunch, and I think I can help you in your business. I'm pretty sure I can take these skills and I can help you make money and grow your business. And he said, okay. So we worked together. Now, I wasn't a partner, but I always thought I was better than him. That's what ego does for you, right? I always thought I was better because I had all these skills. I was able to do everything that he couldn't. Until one day, I realized that he was the one paying me to do the work, to make the calls, to clean the restrooms, to pack the orders. And at that moment, I realized I'm probably not as good as I think I am. Because if I were, I wouldn't be on payroll working for anybody else. I'd be working for myself. And here's where it all changed. One day I sat down and I told Bob, I was like, hey man, we got to talk. He's like, okay, what do you want to talk about? What I did was I pulled him outside and I said, hey, up until now, I always thought I was better than you. You know, I'm more charming, I'm more confident, I'm more skilled, just kind of better in general. And I realized something, man. I realized that you pay me and I work for you. I realized that you've done something I couldn't, which is start a business and take the risk that I could not do. Way to freaking go. You're better. And you have my respect. Until it changes, you employ me. Whatever you say goes. And I stuck my hand out and I shook his hand. And I guess that's when everything changed, because what happened was I realized confidence isn't ego. It's acknowledgement of your current circumstances and where you are and embracing it, no matter how you may view it. That's what confidence is. I acknowledged that I work for someone else and I embraced it. I didn't think I was better. I realized maybe I'm not better. I became confident because I realized what I was not. And I also acknowledged what I was. And in doing so, I took action to become better, despite me being someone that was working for somebody else. That made all the difference. So again, confidence is not your ego. All right? Now, why isn't confidence dependent on external validation? Well, here's what it means. In simple terms, dependent on external validation means viewing yourself a certain way or feeling a certain way about yourself only if other people can confirm and agree. And if they don't agree, then you believe what they have to say about you. So why isn't that confidence? Why isn't confidence dependent on what people have to say about you or how people validate you? I mean, well, one, people are going to have things to say about you, right or wrong, good or bad. That's how they view you. And it's simply that, how they view you. It's an opinion. And honestly, the only opinion that matters is yours. Here's an example. You may say, I'm confident. And everyone else may say, no, you're not. Well, here's the first outcome. You curl up in a ball and you say, maybe I'm not confident. Maybe they're right. Maybe everything up until this point has been false and a delusion, and I'm pretty sure they get to dictate my life and my outcome and my circumstances, and they win. Or you can have the second outcome, which is, well, that may be how you view me, and that's okay. I can back up my confidence because I have been able to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, not to boast or brag, but I've made it far. And your opinions are just that, opinions. If you believe what people have to say about you, they're probably right. And if that's the case, maybe you have some growing to do and you are not who you think you are. Because if you were who you think you are, you wouldn't be affected. If you're wearing a black shirt and I make fun of your pink shirt, you shouldn't be affected because you know it's black. Now, if you're wearing a black shirt and I say you look ugly in your black shirt and you believe it, it's probably because you think you look ugly in your black shirt. All right? Confidence comes from within. You should be able to claim and back up your confidence. It doesn't matter what anyone has to say. I want you to think of confidence and backing it up almost like you and other people are in a court and you are trying to show the judge this stack of evidence. Now, the world has a stack of evidence as to why you're not confident. They're going to naysay against you. They're going to have things to say against you. And you are going to have to say, I'm confident. And with all of the courage and everything you've been through in your life, you have to build a stack of evidence so that you can present that to the judge. But really, the judge is yourself. It's not the world. That's why external validation just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the judge is you. You're presenting it to yourself, not them. And if their stack of evidence is strong, maybe you're not. Again, if what people say about you dictates who you are, then you'll never find out who you are meant to become. Because the world gets to decide that. And that's not fun. So, confidence is not your ego. We understand now that confidence is not dependent on external validation. So the next one is something that you're just born with. And so many people have this notion that confidence is something you have to be born with. You have to be born to be a certain way, to be certain things, to be a singer, to be a writer, to be an artist, to be an entrepreneur. And I am completely against that. In simple terms, something that you're born with is simply a behavior that can't be adjusted, changed, or adopted. Because it's a trait that you must be gifted with. And since it can only be obtained by means of some divine intervention, you're screwed. That's what it means when you say you're just not born with something. You're basically saying, I wasn't gifted with this, so there's no way I can learn it. Okay, just because you're not gifted to play the piano, who says that if you dedicate a year, you can't learn how to play the piano? Exactly. Why isn't confidence something that you're born with? Why isn't it that? Because no one is just born a certain way. Things happen in their life. They experience it, they feel the emotions, they react accordingly. That's something that we call a behavior change. Confidence isn't just a naturally born trait. You just haven't been taught to behave like confident people behave. You don't do what confident people do. It's a skill problem. It's not some type of gift issue. You can develop this stuff. You just have to learn. And you have to have the willingness to learn, the balls to learn. And so here's the thing. A lot of people, we don't know how to reinforce a behavior. And this is a great example that I put right here on the screen. The best way to train a dog is to positively reinforce them. You'll see right here, this is positive reinforcement. Dog goes potty, owner gives treat. Here is punishment. Dog goes potty, owner punishes. Now, what happens with the positive reinforcement? The dog is happy and cannot wait to go potty again on the mat, right? Now, what happens here? And now the dog is sad. The dog just went potty on the mat, and the owner rolls up the mat and is ashamed. Why? That doesn't make the dog want to do it again. I give this example because we're really similar to dogs in that way, right? Like we really are. that's literally how we're trained. So here's an example. Let's say you're a boy, and again, if you're a girl watching my videos, it's the same thing in reverse. Let's say you're a boy and you walk up to a girl and you talk to her. In her head, she's like, "Oh no, I'm good. No, thank you." The first outcome, you can be sad and you can say, maybe I'm not confident. She rejected me. I must be ugly. I might as well never try. I'll never be confident. I just wasn't born to be. This is you accepting something. And so you get a negative reinforcement when you try to approach, when you try to do something, and it prevents you from wanting to do it again. This is what we call negative reinforcement. But negative reinforcement is perception. Now, here's the second outcome. You may say, well, maybe it's me, or maybe it's not. I mean, looks are subjective. Maybe it was the way I was speaking to her. Either way, I'm sure it was me because women have desired me in the past. I guess this one didn't. Oh well, I can do better. I can become better. I can learn from this. And that's a positive reinforcement that allows you to approach more women in the future. This is a positive reinforcement cycle that allows you to do the same thing despite not getting the outcome that you want. Listen, no one was born to win, and no one was born confident. They wanted to be. There was a desire, and they acted upon that desire. And you become better. You got to believe that those people failed, and they failed and failed again until they got it right. Because they believed in themselves, and they were willing to go through and to go bat for themselves in order to stand up for their beliefs that they were going to be a winner one day. Okay? So, if you say you can only be a certain way, if you were born like that, what you're actually saying is, I can never change. It is out of my control, which is not the case whatsoever, because you'd be surprised at how many things are in your control, and then you'd be surprised at what isn't out of your control. Sometimes we're trying to change the uncontrollable and we neglect the controllable. It's very strange. So here's the difference between a controllable and an uncontrollable. Controllable. I get nervous when I have to talk to people. Why is that uncontrollable? Or why is that a controllable? Well, you need to ask yourself, why do I think it's a controllable? Why does it bother you? Is it what they're going to think of you? Is it because you don't know what to say? You think the world will end if you stutter? You think your life will be over if you embarrass yourself? You think they'll remember that moment for the rest of eternity? That's not the case. It just doesn't matter. No one thinks about you more than you. So, if you can take this and you can say, I get nervous when I have to talk to people, and you realize that this is in my control, and you say, I should get better at talking to people, you have now taken control of the situation, as opposed to saying, I get nervous when I have to talk to people, and assume that's an uncontrollable. This is what an uncontrollable would look like. I was born with a stuttering problem. You cannot change this. That's why it's an uncontrollable. So are you screwed? Heck no. You are not screwed by any means. You just have to accept the hand that was given to you. It can be the thing that keeps you from trying, or it can be the very reason you don't stop trying. That's your call. The only limitations we have are our own beliefs. We don't become who we are. We become what we believe. Believe that you're not confident and that you can't change, and you will not. Acknowledge that you're not confident yet and that you can change, and you will. So, we have to understand that, again, confidence is not something you're just born with. It's not dependent on external validation, and it's definitely not your ego. So now we're going to talk about why confidence is not something that's delusional. Something that's delusional, in simple terms, is basically an inability to change backed with a false belief in yourself when you don't have anything to show for it. That's something that's delusional. Why is confidence not something that's delusional? Well, but Thompson, you just said we have to believe in ourselves despite us not being confident. Isn't that delusional? No. That's just acknowledgement of your circumstances and a refusal to accept them. But that means when you refuse, you take action. Delusional people think they are who they say they are, but it's because they know what they are not and they don't like it. And so what happens is they wear a mask, living every day trying to justify their terrible actions, and they never actually become that person. And they do this for so long that they become that mask that they wear. The difference between belief and delusion is simply the ability to back up the claim with enough factual evidence. If you can't support your belief with evidence, you don't really believe it. That's just the truth. If you can't tell people why you believe something, I will argue that you don't even believe it your damn self. Delusional people assume they're confident and try to act like they are. These people just come off arrogant, full of themselves. I mean, how many people have met these type of people? You can just tell you're not naturally confident, but man, you just have this demeanor that just is so unattractive because you're trying to aggressively display your dominance and all this stuff. How many people know people like that? I sure do. I've been that person. So delusion is a false confidence. People that believe they are confident take risks. Their actions match their level of confidence. They don't hold back, they speak their truth. And they sure as hell can back up the confidence with proof. That's what confidence is. That's what belief is. They're going to back it up and they're going to try to make sure that their actions match and align. So here's an example of delusion. Let's say you're at a gathering and you don't want to talk to people. So you say talking to people is such a drag. They are not worth my time. It's not that I'm not confident. It's just I'd rather be alone. Okay. You're masquerading something. There's a filter there. Belief might be something like this. Talking to people is such a drag. I don't feel confident. I'm afraid of what they have to say about me. But I know that if I'm going to become better, I have to speak to them. It's the only way. I can't avoid this any longer. So again, delusional is running away from the truth, trying to justify why you don't take action. It's just false. Belief is acknowledgement of the truth and trying to change by taking action. That is truth. We acknowledge something. And when we acknowledge it, we say, okay, I got to face this. How am I going to face this and change it? Well, I'm going to take action. That is what truth is. It's not false. You don't run away. You don't try to become someone that you're not. You don't try to put on a mask. Confidence cannot be faked. It is earned through reps. So, now we know what confidence is not. What the heck is confidence? Confidence is a belief in yourself that you can back up. Confidence is practicing and doing something long enough that it becomes boring and you just don't hesitate when you have to do it. If I am in sales and my first cold call sounds bad, it's because I'm not confident. Now, if I've been in sales for 10 years and I've made thousands and thousands of cold calls, I've done it for so long that it's literally boring and I'm so good at it because of the reps. And I don't hesitate to make a cold call. I was like, well, another day in the office. Confidence is certainty in something. And confidence is the ability to back up a belief. All these things are confidence. So, we talked about what confidence is by understanding what it is not. We understand why people struggle. I mean, it's fear of judgment. We understood what to avoid by using Charlie Munger's inversion thinking, and here we are. Steps that we need to take. So here's some actionable steps for you guys. Get used to being uncomfortable. Stop thinking you cannot change. I need you to understand this. If you continue to desire to be comfortable, you will never do anything that results in growth. Growth by nature is uncomfortable because it forces you to do something you're not familiar with. Anything that is required to grow is unfamiliar. Anything unfamiliar is uncomfortable. You cannot grow without first being uncomfortable. There is no other way around it. If you enjoy comfort, you by definition will not grow. Don't think that you're stuck a certain way. You are not. You've just been trained to behave a certain way. Maybe something bad happened to you in the past. Maybe you've been negatively punished for trying to do something which makes you not confident. I get it. I'm sure you can justify it, but it doesn't help your cause. Okay, for crying out loud, talk to people. Yes, like talk to people. Start a conversation when you see the opportunity. Keep it short if you have to. Talk and talk and talk and talk. Talk to yourself. If you don't have anyone to talk to yourself. For crying out loud, learn. If you are truly not confident because you have no social skills, I urge you to learn. How to win friends and influence people is a great start. That's a great place to start. Learn, read books on communication, develop some type of social intelligence. Learn what to say, when to say it, what not to say. Learn social cues. body language, psychology. Learn these things. Watch videos on it. You have YouTube. Any question you have, just search them on YouTube and you can watch a video, and I promise you the solution is there. Talk to the freaking cashier. Every time you're at a grocery store, I want you to check out your food and start a conversation with the cashier. You know why? This is a great tip, and I use this all the time, because a moment with the cashier will last anywhere from 30 to about 2 minutes, maybe even less. So you get to practice engaging, starting, and approaching someone without having to deal with the problem of what if this conversation goes longer than 2 minutes? Oh my gosh, what am I going to say? No, it's just quick in and out. Oh, is this all for you? Yeah, this is it. How's your day going? Oh, it's good. How's your day? You know what? It's not too bad. The sun's out. This start a conversation. Every time you're checking out food, you're at a grocery store, talk to the cashier. Just do it. Hey, look, it's their job to be friendly anyways. If they don't want to talk to you, screw it. At least you tried. If anything, you get used to rejection that way. Okay? Don't fear judgment. People have their own lives. You cannot cause people to view you how you view yourself. No one has lived your life that can't do it. It's so hard unless you tell someone your entire life and they give a damn about you. Look, approach the girl, approach the boy, whoever you want. Just approach them. All my young men, if you see a girl that's very attractive, just try. Don't be a dog. Just be like, hey, you're freaking gorgeous. I'm on my way out. I'd figure I'd just try and talk to you and give you my number. And if you want to text me, you could. But I just had to take my shot. Just try. Just do it. Girls, approach the boy. Just do it. What's the worst that'll happen? You get rejected? The world ends? No. They say, oh, no, thank you. They'll probably do it in a polite way. And you say, well, you have a great day, okay? And you go on about your business. Take the risks that no one else will. That's the first, not even the first step, but it's the key component of confidence. People won't take risks. For example, if you're a young man in school, there's a pretty girl, none of the boys will approach her, but the boy that does, oh, he's the confident one because he took the risk that no one else will. What's the risk? She turns him down. No one else wants to feel that rejection. What's another risk? Starting a business. What's another risk? Quitting your job. There's so many risks that you can take that will enhance your confidence, not only in yourself, but your capabilities. Also, don't assume anything about yourself. You got to know it. Don't assume that you're confident. Don't assume that you're this. No, you got to know it. If you're not confident, don't assume you're not. If you know you're not confident, you have to say, well, why am I not confident? We get straight to the root and we understand why. I might not be confident because I have yet to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, now you can justify why you're not confident. What are you going to do with it? Accept it as though it's a permanent behavior and you can't change, or try to change despite that. And then, for crying out loud, practice, practice, practice until it's boring. I don't care what you got to do. If you want to get confident in approaching people, practice, practice. If you're in sales and you want to practice cold calls and door knocking, practice, practice, practice. Do it hundreds of reps, thousands of reps. You don't get good by the 5th rep, 10th rep. You get good in the hundreds. You get really good in the thousands, and you get perfected. You become a perfectionist and a master in the tens of thousands. A bodybuilder has bench pressed thousands of times, and a beginner has bench pressed once. That's the difference. At one point, that bodybuilder was a beginner. He just put in the reps, and now they're good and they're big and they know how to bench press a lot of weight. Just practice. So, quick summary of what confidence is. Confidence. Someone that's confident. Confident is a word to describe someone who can back up their claims with so much evidence that it's almost impossible to deny. Confidence is a belief in yourself that you can back up. Confidence is practicing and doing something long enough that it becomes boring and you just don't hesitate to do it. Confidence is certainty in something. Confidence is the ability to back up a belief. Here's a summary of what confidence is not. Again, confidence is not your ego. It is not dependent on external validation. It is not something you're just born with, and it's not something that's delusional. Why do people struggle? Here's a quick summary if you forgot. People struggle with confidence because of their fear of failure and judgment. They think the world will collapse when really no one thinks about you more than you. There's this over reliance on external validation. The world defines and labels them, and they accept the label to be true. People struggle because you compare yourself to others. Hey, don't compare yourself to the person that's done it millions of times. I think the most foolish thing I did when I was younger was I was 19 comparing myself to people who have been in business and who have been making content and who have been making money for 20 something years, decades. And I'm like, why am I not them? Okay, well, you haven't spent decades learning about something. Had you spent decades learning about something, you would be them, probably better. And a lot of people struggle because of this broken self-trust cycle. They say they're going to do something, they don't do it. And that makes them less confident. They say they're going to approach this person, they don't do it. They say they're going to go to the gym, they don't do it. They say they're going to show up for themselves, they don't do it. They break this self-trust. And so they get into a cycle of, I don't trust myself, I don't trust myself. So I'm not confident in myself, in my abilities. And finally, summary of what to avoid. Avoid pretending to be confident without addressing the underlying insecurities. That's what we call delusion. There's nothing worse than trying to justify your delusions. Justify your confidence with truth, not false. Avoid waiting to feel ready. It's never the right time. The right time will come when you can take action despite it not being the right time. Avoid having an over-reliance on external validation. People, what they have to say about you shouldn't be you. You can use it as something that helps you or something that destroys you. You can be receiving of their input. Oh yeah, I'll listen to what you have to say about me. And then in your head, you have to really logically determine, is this true or is this false? If it's true, you can say, maybe it is true. What can I do to change? If it's false, disregard. Avoid seeking approval from others instead of just building this internal self-worth. Build your self-worth by knowing who you are. You don't need anyone to confirm who you are. If you need that, then you don't know who you are. And you doubt your character. There's nothing worse than doubting your character. Because if you doubt your character, people will define your character and you'll believe their definition of your character. Let's say you're a really good person. Like a really good person. And people say you're not, but you are. And you believe them, then you'll start to believe you're not and you'll act like you're not. And next thing you know, you've transformed. You're no longer a good person. Avoid this comparison to others. There's no need. People have done it longer and you can be just better as them or just as good as them or even better if you just put in the reps and you do it for long enough. Avoid measuring your success against someone else's journey. Look, everyone walks a different path. What took someone 10 years might take you 2. What took you 2 might take someone 6 months. That's the game. You'll notice with this generation, there are so many people becoming multimillionaires when it took our parents decades. And people are doing it in like 5 years. That's the game. People get good. We evolve. Don't measure your success and look at someone else's journey because now you've created a gap from where you are versus where you think you should be because of their journey, which is not your journey. Your journey is yours. Avoid believing you must be flawless to be confident. You don't have to be flawless. And this is coming from a dude who couldn't make a cold call to save his life, couldn't approach anyone, was scared of rejection, had a bunch of acne scars. You do something long enough and you just stop caring about what people have to say. You don't have to be flawless or perfect to be confident. You be confident by taking action and keep doing it and accepting the outcome no matter what it is and not expecting an outcome. Avoid breaking promises to yourself, like skipping commitments or goals. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Because if you don't do it, then you get reinforced with the idea that you have not done something, which makes you acknowledge your incapabilities. That's not good. Avoid setting goals that are just too big, or avoid too many goals at once because you're bombarded with options. You don't know what to do. Just, again, inversion thinking. Instead of figuring out what to do, figure out what to avoid and take actions to avoid that. If you want to build a better relationship with your partner, don't think of what you have to do because you can go on dates, you can do picnics, you can buy her gifts, you can do this, you can do this, you can go on a honeymoon. There's so many things. Just ask what should I avoid if I what should I avoid if I want to keep this relationship healthy? Well, what should I do to destroy the relationship? I could probably not communicate. I could probably cheat on her. I could probably okay, look. Once we identify that, then you can say, okay, if I can destroy this relationship by not communicating, maybe all I have to do is communicate. If I can destroy this relationship by cheating on her, maybe I just don't cheat on her. And you do those things, and as a byproduct of doing those things, you will create a better relationship. That's the beauty of inversion. Don't and avoid over focusing on results. Focus on what it takes, not the outcome. So let's say you're in sales. Don't focus on closing a deal. Focus on how many people can you talk to today. If you focus on the outcome, and I've mentioned this in a lot of sales videos I made, if you focus on the outcome, what happens is even if you speak to 1,000 people and you don't close a deal, you're double destroyed. But if you make it on, I got to talk to 100 people, that's a controllable. What's non-controllable? Closing a deal. I mean, some people are going to say no. Some people will say yes, depending on how good you are. But what's even more of a controllable is how many people you could talk to. So you just set a number and say, okay, well, today's goal is to talk to 100 people, despite me not closing a deal. Closing a deal is not the goal. Talking to 100. And as a byproduct, speaking to 100 people might actually result in you closing a deal. Avoid fixating yourself on the outcome rather than the process. That's the same thing as over-focusing on the results. Don't focus on the outcome. It's the process that makes you confident, not you doing something that makes you confident. It's not a girl saying yes to you that makes you confident. It's the fact that you've approached a lot of girls that make you confident. Yes? Avoid undermining confidence if immediate results are not achieved. Just because you haven't done it in X amount of time doesn't mean that you can't do it in the future. Sometimes the problem with a lot of us is that we assume that we are so deserving and worthy of something right away. And because we assume that when we don't get it right away, we're like, well, it's not meant to be. I'm not meant to be that person. I can't be that person. What happens? You end up screwed, is what happens. Because now you are negatively reinforcing this terrible behavior. Understand it takes time. You need to understand it's going to take time. And well, that's how we build confidence. That's how we become better. So, I hope that this slideshow helped you. I hope it gave you some type of idea as to what confidence is. Remember, it's reps, it can't be faked. And it also takes time. And the reason you're not confident is because you haven't done anything to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself, and in doing so, you will be extremely confident. Look, if you like these slideshow style videos, you let me know in the comments. I'll do more of them. It took me a few hours to do these slideshows, but I'll do it again for you guys. If it helps you guys learn, if it helps you guys understand, if it helps you guys digest information in a more coherent way, as opposed to me just speaking to the camera, you let me know. I'll do it, and I'll do it again. Whatever helps you guys. I go off your feedback. If you'd rather me just speak to a camera and not do these slideshows, you let me know. Let me know whatever you want. Let me know what you like. I'm here for you guys. I don't know. Some people, I mean, I learn better. I can learn by just listening. But sometimes when I visually see something and I listen, it helps me. And it helps me retain the information as well. So that's all I got. You guys take care of yourself.